Welcome to the Add to the Brush. Today we're carrying on with the gantry platforms that we were looking at the other day. Some of them I've already done the chevron on, and today that's what I'm going to show you how I've done. So we're going to take some yellow frog tape, and I've got a very small cutting mat which I use for small jobs like this. I want it nice and neat because I don't want any overhangs. Trim up that end. Hopefully I don't need this much of this, but I will keep this for future use if I need it. Again, just trim off the excess. I'm going to do the same to the other side. You can't really see that on the camera, but now that I've got it neatened up, what I'm going to do is trim these down into roughly 9mm slices. They should be a centimetre, but they're going to work out roughly 9mm. So I'm just going to make 3 scores using a steel ruler and a sharp hobby knife, and literally using the grids on the cutting board. I'm literally scoring along them to get the width that I need. So we're going to get this little 5mm segment left over that I do not need. I'm not going to use this for another project at the moment. So before I then mark out the smaller slices, we're going to take that off. That's the last one. So I'm just going to lift these ones away. So we do not need those for this project. They're too thin a line for what we need. And then I'm going to mark these off into roughly 3cm sections. There will be a little bit of a shorter segment at the end, but they don't matter. We can still use them for what we're doing. There's a sort of process to what I'm doing with this. So I found that this tends to get the most effective pattern overall, especially when I'm doing large surfaces. There will be some variations. So I'm going to lift off the first piece. I've got one tile left that I've not done this on. I'll try and see if I can get this better on camera for you. Move things out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. Right. What I'm going to do is lay the first piece at a 45-degree angle across the end. Now I'm going to want the shorter bit at the top because I don't want any overhang when I wrap it round, and you can readjust this several times to get it right. Once I've got the first one down, I'm going to lift off the next one, place the next one directly next to it, and this one I'm going to use to repeat the process along the whole side. So that's going to act as my spacer that tells me exactly where to place it and what angle to place it. And I'm going to butt up the next one directly against it and then fold it over. Take the one that's in the middle off and then replace again next to the one we've just placed, and repeat the process. My nails are getting a little bit too long for this. Same again, fold that round, pick it up again, move it along. You may find at times you need to readjust the angles to get it positioned slightly better, and proceed along the whole stage, leaving every other one blank. And I'm going to come back in a sec and show you what we'll do once we've got to that end. This time we're going to have to wrap around the corner. So first of all I'm going to take away the one in the middle, as that's our spacer. And then I'm going to fold the side down to keep it consistent. Check to make sure that the angle is still the same. I'm not going to fold them flat. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pinch them in. That one I can fold flat, but they might not always fold flat. You don't want to force it, because you'd rather keep the paint or the masking tape exactly where you want it, rather than folding it and causing the paint or paint tape to stretch or deform or move from where you put it even. So now carry on again. Once I've got to the end of the entire row, I'll come back and show you what we do next. This time I need to follow around the corner. So what I'm going to do is turn it over. Having already stuck the corner down on one side, I'm now going to literally fold it over to get the next piece and proceed again. I'll come back in a sec when we have to wrap one round the corner. Now that the tile is fully masked up, what we're going to do now is make a thin mix, 50% mix of Abandon Black, and Black Templar. The reason I do this is the contrast tends to dry quicker. It has a better fluid quality for the purposes that I want, without watering down or breaking the surface tension of the paint too much. So a 50-50 mix of Black Templar and Abandon Black works perfectly for what I'm about to do. So I hold it with the face that I don't care about facing down, and I now just mark diagonal strikes, trying to follow the line of the masking tape so that I reduce the likelihood of bleeds. And literally I'm going to run black mix across the gaps. Now I tend to start at the ends because that's when I've got a lot more control, and then just fill in. I can go at quite a bit of speed doing this. Tend to hold it up so that I don't end up ruining the bottom surface as I go, but I'm literally going to go around and I'm going to give this 2 coats of black, and once I've done all of this, come back. Now that they've been fully painted, we're going to have to take the mask off. Now with the circular one, what I've done is I've tried to skip the end nuggets so that I've got a yellow blank square in the centre section. We'll see how badly they've bled. There will be some bleeds, but we're going to correct that in a later stage. It's just a case of picking these off. Some will be better than others. As you can see, we've got some mistakes there. That's not a problem. We'll come back to that in a few minutes once I've done all of the demasking. Now, as part of the finishing off, what I'm going to do is take some Seraphim Sepia and a large makeup brush. I'm just going to load the brush with some of the wash, and I'm very going to quickly run it down the side of the panel. Don't want too much, but enough that I can very quickly run it along the panel. Any that you get on the surface, on the top edge by accident, you can just brush off. It should match the colour that you've already got on the top, but as this dries, it should give a gradation to the surface we've got underneath. Now for the circular panel, I'm going to take a slightly different approach. I am literally going to try and just do in the middle, not worry about getting the top edge too much. Just put a little bit of this Seraphim Sepia on it just to give a slightly darker tone. We are going to have to come in and make some corrections, but that's the very last step, and that's one of the reasons why I don't really care about these little paint bleeds we've got. We have got some, but not too many. So that's that panel done. The last panel that we started the video with, I'm just going to again run it down the side, along the ends. I'm not worried about being particularly neat. I don't really care about it being neat. This stage is about just adding some more colours in. So now that's done, I'll leave those to dry, and I'm going to show you the very final step on a panel that I've already done earlier. What I'm going to do now is take some lead belcher, and again I'm not worried about using small brushes. To give you an idea, that's how big a brush I'm using for this. Dab it into the lead belcher, make sure I've got sufficient on the brush, and again, I'm not worried about being precise with this. That's not what we're doing with this. This is about technique rather than skill. So I'm going to take the brush. I haven't got a huge amount of paint on it, but it's got enough, and it's a large brush, so what I can do is I can literally at a 45-degree angle just run it along the edge. Come in, do the same on the bottom side. Again, I'm not worrying about being particularly fastidiously neat. I don't even care about the mistakes. But this will tone down that bright, crisp edge that we've got. And you can see I'm not really worrying about taking particularly long about doing that. That's just given me a little bit of a silver glint to the edges. And the last step, I'm going to use the same brush that I've just used. And now, anywhere that I feel that I need to add a little bit more, I'm just going to rotate the brush over and just leave a few stabs here and there, trying to be very Bob Ross about it. Any happy little accidents don't matter. It just breaks up that pure crisp lines. And the thing is, where you end up with any paint bleeds, any occasions where you've got something that you don't want, you can literally come in and attack where you've got that paint bleed and mask it out. Again, you don't have to use such a big brush, you could use a smaller brush, but I'm going to go around and do all of this to all of them, and that'll finish off the set. But to give you another little look at what we've got a panel, top surface is done, edge is done, to good enough quality for gaming. Now what I'm going to have to work on at a later stage is all the upright supports. I have been the Adept to the Brush. Thank you very much for watching. If you've liked what you've seen, please like and subscribe, it will help the channel grow, and the next video will be something completely different.